Strategically, physically, we can make a difference automatically. Let's live in unity. All for one, all for all. To be a baby, and I don't swag on anybody to say. I will jump and sing and shout hooray. But today is our Independence Day. Liberia, our day. We are free. Liberia, Liberia, our day. We are free. Today is our day. How long will you cry? Tell me how long? Rise up, forget about the past. It's dead and gone. Don't hate your brother. Don't you get trouble and do it wrong. All we have to do is join hands and sing this song. We are free. Liberia, we are free. Forever we are free. Jump and shout to me. School is where we are. I am proud to be a Liberian, and I don't care what anybody could say. I will jump and sing and shout today. Cause today is our Independence Day. Liberia, we are free. No more war. Liberia, our day. We are free. Today is our day. People, today is your day. It's time to party.
Eventually, we'll be joining our guest, Bettie J Mbayo, a female journalist based in Monrovia, Liberia, of the Front Page Africa. Let's say many thanks to our previous guest, Fidel City Budi, the Secretary General of the Liberian of the Union of Liberian Organizations in the UK. He was my guest on the print news review. So shortly we'll be joining our guest all the way there in Monrovia, Liberia, Bettie J Mbayo, a renowned female journalist in Liberia. Thank you, Corey. Let me say welcome to all my listeners there across the world. For now, we are online as well on the internet, Boss Media Radio International as well. So I greet you all there in Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Zambia. I respect all of my listeners there via the internet. Okay, shortly we'll be joining. We'll be going live. We're just waiting for the signal from Bettie J Mbayo via the video. Hopefully we'll do it via the video. I hope the internet will give us that chance today. Okay. If you don't know, don't judge me. We don't want gunshots, we don't want go. All we want is equal rights and peace to make our dough. Hey, Liberians, you and me, Liberians, me and you. Let's live in harmony and peace. Who prevail? Do what is right and good and bring our children back to school. And work and determination and we will fail. Economically, strategically, physically, we can make a difference automatically. Let's live in unity. All for one, all for all. To be a baby, and I don't care what anybody could say. I will jump and sing and shout hooray. But today is our Independence Day. Liberia, our day. We are free. Liberia, Liberia, Liberia. We are free. Today is our day. gonna do it wrong. All we have to do is join hands and sing this song. We are free, Liberia, we are free. Oh, 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 forever we are free. That time we are, oh my baby, I get to get
All right, we keep our fingers crossed for our studio guest, Bettie Bayo, Bettie Johnson Bayo of the Front Page Africa.
I am proud to be a Liberian, and I don't care what anybody will say. I will jump and sing and shout today. 'Cause today is our Independence Day. Our day, we are free. Our day, we are free. Today is our day. People, today is your day. It's time to party. You know, time to shake that stress out. Forget about the past. It's dead and gone. Now sing with me. Let's go. Say whoa, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. When I say screw, you say face. Screw face, screw face. When I say screw, you say face. Screw face, screw face. I tell you, Liberia, 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 Liberia.
All right, we stay struggling to get our studio guests. But let's see whether we can make some additional adjustments here.
That's why I started the hustling real bad. If you don't know me, don't judge me. We don't want gunshots, no, we don't want po-po. All we want is equal rights and peace to make our dough. Hey, yeah, Liberians, you and me. Liberians, me and you. Let's live in harmony and peace. Who prevail? The world is right and good, and take our children back to school. And work and determination, and we will fail. Economically, strategically, physically, we can make a difference automatically. Let's live in unity, all for one and one for all. I am proud to be a Liberian, and I don't care what anybody will say. I will jump and sing and shout hooray. 'Cause today is our Independence Day. Liberia, we are free.
Now, let me say thank you so much, all of you that are sharing the video. I appreciate that. If you like it, if you love it, I appreciate that very much. Liberia, we're still fighting with this internet connectivity. Our studio guests, they still find it difficult to join us. Let's see whether we can make another avenue.
All we have to do is join hands and sing this song. We are free, Liberia, we are free. Oh, 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 forever we are free. That time we are, oh my baby, I get to get now. We are fire to Mamba, remember. Oh, Baga, we get. Are you ready? Baga, we get. Are you ready? Independence Day, jump and shout to it. School is where we are. I am proud to be a Liberian, and I don't care what anybody could say. I will jump and sing and shout today. 'Cause today is our Independence Day. Liberia, our day. We are free. Liberia, Liberia, our day. We are free. Today is our day. People, today is your day. It's time to party. You know, time to shake that stress out. Forget about the past. It's dead and gone. Now sing with me.
All right, we just sincerely apologize for the delay. We still trying to link up with Bettie J Mbayo from Page Africa, our would-be studio guest. But she find it difficult to join us via the video call from Liberia.
Liberia, 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 Monrovia, 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 Monrovia.
All right, we just had yes now. Okay, change it to time now. We're just gonna go straight to our studio guest. Betty, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Max. Good
Let's,
evening, everyone.
let's
Thank
hope.
you for waiting on me patiently. I know it wasn't easy, but it's same thing like yesterday.
Mm,
It rained and everything.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's why some of us, that's why we're here. We decide the same way you're devoting your time to make sure that you bring stories to us. Some of us on the radio as well is we always wait patiently as well, especially waiting patiently for that story you bring it out and we can share it with other people. It's great. Anyway,
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
welcome back and thanks too for really putting effort to it. That yes, you can come and
Thank you so
at
much.
least interact with your family. Hmm. Now
Yeah,
I,
I
I don't
appreciate.
know. Let's see. I don't know where we're gonna start because I'm not quite sure about the internet or whatever. Sometimes let's just start with the most latest. Then we'll come. Maybe we gradually we'll try to get uh, more from you in terms of what you do, why you did it, why you're doing it. And
Okay,
so recently we been reading on the media, on social media, on newspapers, especially those of us that depend on the online version or so, hearing that your
Max.
life, yeah, are you hearing me? All right, we start again. Actually, the network between Monrovia and Liberia, and I don't know. It's almost like I don't know. I don't even know how to put this now. Just have Fidel on here. It was so perfect. No breaking in, nothing. Fidel was here. We had a perfect discussion also, but it's not it's not working. Let's try again and see if we can get Betty. Let's see because I added now. Let's see whether we can get Betty here. So we can. All right, are you there? Are you there, Betty? Hello, Betty. Are you there? Hello, Betty. Are you here? Are you hearing me? We can see you. Just we're not hearing. You're not saying anything anyway. Hello. Hello, Betty. Okay. She drop off again. All right. Uh, again. Betty, I don't know if you can call the number or so. All right. We're just trying to establish contact, to re-establish contact with Betty Bayo. Betty is a female, renowned female journalist based in Liberia. She also an employee of the Front Page Africa. She's been working on, and digging out, highlighting a lot of stories, human interest stories, stories back home in Liberia, especially relative to rape, other form of abuses as well in Liberia, and trying to actually bring those stories to light and bring it to the public so that public can be aware of what is going on in the communities or so. Quite recently, Bettie J Mbayo was actually threatened uh, by, by a counselor at law. Let me put it that way. And even the police, the Liberian National Police, is involved right now as we speak. And so we have invited her here to hear her story as well, so that you, some of you people, family members, friends, good friends of her, can actually hear her story. The Front Page Africa is an independent newspaper, and given the fact of that means that her employees are all working independently. You will not just buy them easily, because their work, their job is also put online if they happen to take a bribe or so from anybody to either bury a story or so. And so for anybody to come and threaten her life, like the council of date, and sending her a warning and say, if you don't stop reporting on my clients, something will happen to you. That's bizarre to hear such from coming. Coming from a serving lawmaker. Let me say not lawmaker. I think he's just a counselor at law. And so we're trying to have Betty here, so we can get the story as well and see how far is the case. What is the next step of her or family? Because her institution, the institution she's presently working for. And so we're just trying to establish contact with her. Just to remind you, for those of you that just joining in for today, actually we tried yesterday, but unfortunately, I did for yesterday, due to poor internet connectivity, we couldn't continue with the show. We decided to push it for today at this hour. We tried for the first, at least we tried twice now, and it seems not to be working. But we're trying another way. Hopefully that we can get Betty to join us. And next week we'll have the assistant minister for minister for administration at the Ministry of Gender and Children Development, Honorable Max Kpakio. She finally accepted our invitation, so she will be here next week, Thursday. And we'll be finding out from her about her new job as a cabinet, as a minister, not cabinet, but as a minister in the government of the CDC-led government. During the days of the UP-led government, I interviewed her here several times with other young people as well. Also very, very, very vocal on issues of national concerns as well. And so she will be our guest next week. we should have actually talked today. Let's see. I think Betty is trying to call now. Let's hope that this time around we'll be able to get her and get her stable. If not, we just have to find another alternative. All right, so we're back. I just got a signal, in fact, that I was sounding a bit low, but I think it should be okay now. And so we just trying now to add, because got a request already from her, from our would-be studio guest. I still have to use the word like that, would-be studio, because her studio guest, if she's not yesterday, I would say she's our studio guest, isn't it? So I think I should be right. This one taking some time again for the process to be completed and to see her image. Still saying adding. So I don't know. Still crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Connection dropped, failed. Because you just dropped again. All right, I think we have to try the alternative. The other alternative. Unfortunately, for those of you watching live, all of us will not be able to see her. If that alternative goes through, then we wouldn't be hearing her voice. But I think it's better than not having her at all. All right, if you're watching, please you can share the video. We appreciate that very, very much. God. I agree with what Thomas is saying. Maybe that was happening. Okay. I don't know. Okay. All right. Quickly, let me see. Let's take another batch of song here. Let's see whether we can go to Grand Cape County. I love this one.
Ya Babama, Ya Betana, if they were Casado, a Betana Sena, and I miss your Gato, Ya Camadeli, A Betana, the never, my wife to carry, Abdulakai, Takamabano, Sola Pasico, Biama, Atacado, and with piano, I'm on all of Pandia, Yanama, Bila, Yanamo, the bonus, I bet you yes, I said, Yakasama, what I want your day, someone that won't have your way. I don't know if you are let an Jaguar. I get that Jaguar guy. I must have to say, come on, with me again. I don't know if you just so
All right, let's see whether we can get Betty again. We still pushing it so she can be with us that video. But let's do it here. Let's away. From Grand Cayman County, let me say Yakune. Some of the changes these companies have brought to Liberia will be a serious problems for our people in terms of getting keeping in touch. The network is bad, and a lot of benefits have been taken off from our people. Almost 30 minutes now of trying to link with our guests. So please bear patient with us. Thank you, all of you that still bearing this patience. Let's try again. No answer from caller. Okay. Alright, we're getting some signal now that is adding up, so let's see whether this will be activated. Well, if you're just joining in for the first time, this is the Max K Talk Show. Welcome to the program. was would-be studio guest is actually a female, renowned female journalist of the front page Africa, Bettie J Mbayo. So please bear patient with us. We're trying to get her via the video so she can speak to us from Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you very much for your patience. All right, says again, connection failed. Okay, it's near the trying is not working at all. The internet problem between Monrovia and here isn't working at all, sadly. All right, let's try again and see if we get.
Hey,
Okay. Yeah.
finally I'm on.
Well, let's hope you stay on because you've been coming on and been going back.
Yeah, how are you? Finally I'm on.
Okay, that's great.
Bad internet and everything, but at least
Let's
back.
keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm back on.
Okay,
I'm sorry to all of your guests.
We'll keep our fingers crossed that we'll have you on for the at the length of the time. It's great to have you on, Betty. Anyway,
I know.
welcome back. Yeah.
So that's everything. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for your guests. Thank you for your guests being so patient. I appreciate.
Okay. Betty, I mean.
So sorry that I'm not in a very comfortable area because I was in search of an internet. So, well, probably you might not have the best lighting right now because I was in search of a good internet area. Sorry for that. Sorry to your guests as well.
Yeah, I know that they're listening. Those of them that are listening via the radio, our guest, we finally got her. We sincerely apologize to you. Thank you for waiting. And those that are watching live as well, we say, well, you heard from her already. She extends her apologies to you as well. So let's see whether we can get whatever we can get from her tonight. Now I'll get my guest now. Then people start calling me too. Okay, let's start off first of all with respect to the work, the journalism work. First of all, let's so at least our listening audience can better know who the guest is. You got into this work. I mean, is it something that you planned maybe when you're going to school and say, well, by the time I finish high school, I want to do journalism. I want to be investigating people. I want to be taking story out and bring it out to people. How did they all start?
Well, Max, I'm a bit screening to hear you. Can you please ask that question again? Please.
Even myself now, due to the call that came in, I cancelled. Your voice gone down low. So meaning you have to get up and call back.
Okay, I will. I will.
Apologize as well. Yeah. Normally, once it happens, your voice would go down. We can't hear you, and you can't hear me clear. So let's see whether the our guest can call us back. Okay, we'll stay here. Okay. Sometimes this is it. The work here, you have to be so patient. Yeah, you have to be very, very patient, man. Especially if you really want to get to the bottom of something. You gotta be so much patient minded. Okay, let's see whether we can get her. I wish that was a oh, it's dropped. Let's see, could it cancel the close request? Go back. All right, let's see whether we can get to Betty. All right. All right, good. Okay. We're finishing 30 minutes with that trying technology. Okay. Okay, let's just continue with it where we start with the question. How did you get into the field of journalism?
Well, okay. I started as a volunteer at Truth FM, Renaissance Communication specifically, where wherein they used to run a Renaissance newspaper, now Truth FM, and Real TV, but now the TV and the newspaper are down. So now they only have Truth FM and Truth FM Live. That's all. So I started as a volunteer from several newspapers, and I stayed 4 years at Truth FM without a salary, and that's how I decided to um, leave from broadcast to print, and that's where I found myself now at Front Page Africa.
So meaning you did both print and electronic media, right?
Yeah. So yes, I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mass Communication from the United Methodist University, where I studied broadcast communication. But then, because I did not find my way around within the broadcast era, so I had to leave broadcast into print instead of broadcast media.
In terms of comparison, because I know when I did my training too, I didn't do the PSE in it, but I did I'm a diploma in both print and electronic. But in terms of the two, in terms of the two, how did you come about? Was it easy for you to just make that kind of a quick maybe decision, switching over to one?
Well, coming up, I love writing, and I was more of a script writer in the broadcast era because most of the news that were read by that were anchored by newscasters were mostly written by me. So since I decided to do more script writing, I decided to just shift from being a broadcast journalist and moving on to a print journalist, which of course was not something just swift, but I quickly settled because since I was already used to writing. So the main thing I had to do was to shift from an inverted pyramid to inverted pyramid within a print media.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's come in the house itself, because sometimes we do struggle, especially when you get in the field and you in that building, in that box where you say, okay, you have your editor in chief, you have the news editor, you have the, the editor in chief. Now we finalize whether the story go or not. I mean, are there any time, because I experienced that before when I was doing my practice as well. Is there any time that you maybe you really wanted this story to go, but his editor said, well, I think I'm more interested in that other one than this one. Let's see whether we can keep it tomorrow. How did you handle it? Did you experience something like that?
Several times. So let's say at Mondays at Truth FM, they have more interest, in me sitting in the newsroom and doing press releases instead of going a field to gather news. So if just in case I sneak out and get, a news script that my editor did not expect me or he didn't approve that you know, that I was leaving the newsroom at that time, that news gonna be on hold. And you and I know when the story is on hold, you got to turn around, you got to convince your editor why that story should be removed from on hold, which of course gonna take a long time. But sometimes you just allow it go because the boss will always be the boss. Yeah, so many times my stories were on hold because the editor feel that it's not what he wanted and he wasn't the one who approved that I leave the newsroom at that time. So many times stories were on hold, and which of course I'm sure that some journalists are still facing such issue.
Now, because I agree with you, especially in terms of Liberia, and not where we are. Every segment is represented in reporting, whether it has to do with the environment, it has to do with the community, whether it has to do with charity work also. In Liberia, it's a different thing than what you're saying. They are more interested in press releases that are coming from ministry or coming from some kind of an agency or so, and they want to make that into a press, as a news
Especially
story.
from the
Okay,
mansion.
but yeah. Now being a humanitarian, and now you have gone and got this story. This story is about in one of the things that you actually report on, which is red. And this story is about abuse. And you present this story, and the story is put on hold or so. You try to convince your editor in chief. This story it has a human interest. Can it please go, and you explain your interest also. And if you are actually told finally that the story is put on hold, how do you deal with it? Do you go in your own closet and say, well, and grieve OI and say, oh man, something is wrong somewhere else? Or how do you deal with it?
No, but uh, but the thing is, I think journalists should always try sit down and see the simplest way and in which a story can be written to convince their editor, because like at front page Africa, for example, you have like over 7 8 reporters there, and you don't expect your editor to sit on your article for the entire day. So, which of course, that does not mean that your story going to be the one being published for the next day. So it's just very simple that journalists can see and how simply they can, you know, write their articles that the editors won't struggle. Many a times, coming up, I had to look at simply as the human interest side, because for every time and such side is focused on, then you draw the editor's attention to convince him that this article is worth airing or worth reporting on. So,
Mm,
as I said, the entire thing is with the reporter to explain in the simplest form for their editors to be convinced that such article is worth broadcasting.
mm, mm.
That's all.
Now let's come to the field itself. Liberia is kind of well. I think we also appreciate diversity in the workplace. I don't know how much we champion it, but in the field itself, are you kind of satisfied with the number of women you see in the field, or would you want to see more women playing in the field and also playing up maybe a frontline role in terms of maybe being an editor for newspaper or radio or whatsoever? What is it like there?
So let's say with an in the form of administrative structuring, women are very low. So far, I can say that we have one female publisher, which is Helena of the Women Forces. When you look at administrative charts in newsroom, you find fewer women in administrative positions and you find more men. But the entire thing is women should be given space to improve themselves, and men should always decide to work with them. Well, let's say within the Liberian media, not many men are open up to women reporters. Like it's probably because they want to get something, or they want to not really focus on female journalists. But as I said, currently we have just a female publisher. She runs the Women Voices, and we have other women in civil societies, who came from the media background. Yes, like Fija. Yes, so women are not really given a space to grow themselves, and sometimes too, women also misuse the space created by the male counterparts.
Mm. Are there any other challenges, especially that women can face? Because normally when I go home, I try to, even those that are employed within in the area of serving as a checkout at the supermarket, or so I try to engage them as to what is it like to get a job like that. The stories I hear are quite, well, unacceptable. Let me put it that way. Very unacceptable before you get such a job. I mean, do you also experience something like that in the media as well, in terms of a woman want to enter in the institution, but then a certain blockage there, and that blockage sometimes hard for people to talk about it. Also, do you see something like? I know you know what I'm talking about already.
Well, Max, for that, I will try not to speak on it because we have a female journalist organization
Oh,
that
okay.
mostly target that, and if such thing do arise, or come up, that association will see and how they can mitigate such issue. But to say that
Mm.
women are sexually harassed, I don't want to speak on that because I have no evidence. I have no facts on that.
Okay. Most of your stories I've been following since I came across Front Page Africa. We must admit, some of us are in the diaspora. For me personally, I must admit that it's one of the papers that I actually follow, and always on my show, the print news review is. I always go there to get my stories. Most of your stories are quite kind of full of all human interest story where you want to find out about why was this 9-year-old girl raped? Who raped her? Okay. Why is it that the people in the prison, why are they not looked after well and things? Why is it that you took this difficult role in terms of reporting?
Okay, so like over and over, I've been asked why I found interest in reporting on human issues. Human interest issues, women issues, gender issues, and then I try to think on, being raised by a single mother and a few sisters. You know, there were issues, and there are still personal issues that I'm still trying to get over. And time in, time out, I feel that there are stories that are not being reported. And since I have that space at Front Page Africa, I feel that those stories should be reported. Whether who's involved, when did it occur, I feel that those stories should be looked at. And nothing should stop you from reporting on issues that affect children, that affect women, that affect men. Because like yesterday, I was approached. Someone asked, say, why you only have interest in reporting on women issues or girls issues, and I told them that just in case a male is sodomized, which of course that should be my issues as well. That should be my issue. I should be able to follow it up and who sodomized him, why did occur, why are the parents silent, why are the Liberia National Police not focusing on this issue. That's it. That is just it. So I feel that there are issues that journalists are not focusing on. Over and over, you see more political stories as compared to women issues, let's say gender issues, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking you. This is, as far as Liberia is concerned, this is a delicate area to work because if this individual having some kind of a connection from Liberia is dangling down, I don't know. Okay, we're talking about Liberia in the picture here, where most of the times when the power that be is in the picture, it becomes a big story. It becomes something that nobody should go closer or anything. That's what I'm asking. I mean, in terms of you choosing that area, first of all, was it something that you just planned that, look, no matter what, I'm going to do this, no matter what the outcome or so? And were you actually prepared to face any eventuality? Because there should be repercussions.
Max, I'm not really getting that question. Can you please ask it again?
Yeah, you've been going off and on, off and on. I don't know. What I'm asking is that in terms of you being fully prepared for this role, and then knowing the society you're dealing with, there are some stories you bring it out. Somebody is getting angry, and because they are in power, they want to use their power to get at you also. Um, I mean, is it something that you really thought of and say, well, no matter what, I know definitely some of these stories are going to be very delicate to deal with, but I am going to go there and I'm prepared. Is this something that you actually had a thought on before?
Well, for the last part that I'd honors to is, why do I take risks to report on some issues? That's it.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Especially so, given the fact that I mean, where you are, people abuse power just to get at somebody.
Okay, so as I said from the start, you only need a supportive boss. You only need a supportive spouse. You only need a space to report. And if that space is given, you will have to sell yourself. You will have to see how your stories can be told in the simplest form, and make sure that those stories have impact on society. Why do I take risks on reporting, on gender issues or women issues? Well, that's only because I feel that for every story, there is a gender angle. Every political story do have an angle that directly reflects on gender.
Yeah, and that's now will take me to the recent development in Liberia. I've been reading, I've been following the recent development where one of the headlines says lawyer issues death threats on journalists uh, on you. I mean, how did this threat come about? Is it really a real threat? You feel did you feel threatening about this, or is it something else? Where is it? What is the story behind this? Some of us are quite worried in terms of your work you're doing.
But Max, one thing I can tell your viewers is that I'm not going to stop reporting. That's part of the threat. Now, just to inform you that it was on a Monday, last week Monday, when I went for lunch with my boss and one of his friends. And while having lunch, I received this call. As a journalist, we regularly receive screen calls. Yes, because probably maybe someone wants to give you an information that will, lead you to a bigger investigation. So I did answer the call, and all I was told was, "Is this Bettie J Mbayo?" And then I said yes. And the next thing was, "I'm calling you to inform you to stop reporting on my client, or you'll be assassinated now to September 15." So I checked. Yeah, I checked. So at that time, I tried to explain to my professional colleague that was at my left. Within that time, the phone went off. So while explaining, within a second, another call came in from another unknown number. and I did answer. And when I answered at this time, all they said was the phone went off first. But now I'm calling back to inform you to stop reporting on my client, or you'll be assassinated, or one of your kids gets missing. And Max, at that point, I froze for a while because I feel that my professional work should not affect my family. No matter the number of investigations I should do, no matter the number of reports, my family shouldn't be affected. So at that time, I passed the phone over to my colleague to speak with this person. And then what my colleague said was, the caller said the call is not meant for me. The call is meant for you. So at that time, he asked us to leave the area. And when we left, we reported, and that was how my editor-in-chief traced the number and found out that this was a counselor from the Temple of Justice. And then I will ask,
Wow.
do you know this counselor? And then I say, yes, I know him. And that was how we tried calling that day as many times. This counselor did not answer. He didn't even call back. So on Tuesday, but on Monday, we did a formal communication to the Liberia National Police, informing them that I was on threat and I received a call from these numbers, and we don't know who's the client and who's calling. So on Tuesday, Front-Page Africa decided to do their first article, and let's say at 9-10 o'clock, trying to wrap up, that was the time in which my editor decided to call one of the numbers. So when they called the number, they asked, is this Councillor Charles Abdullahi? And then he said, yes, this is Councillor Charles Abdullahi. And then my editor said, oh, I'm calling because yesterday you called one of my reporters and you issue a death threat. And that was how that counselor just quietly said on the phone, tell Betty I'm joking.
Wow.
And that's it.
Now tell me, Betty, the first call came in. Are you there?
Max?
All right. Yeah. Okay. Here now. Tell me, Betty. I mean, the first call came in directly from this counselor himself and warned you, leave my clients alone, or else you will be assassinated. I mean, this is the person you say you know. I mean, how well do you know him? Have you reported on him before this particular one, or?
Well, Max, I would tell you that I'm a judicial security reporter, right? Judicial security gender reporter, right? Okay. And one thing that I don't do is that finding special lawyers clients to report on. As long you are involved in an issue that's worth reporting, that's what I go for. I don't follow cases because of the lawyers they have. So to be frank, up to now, I don't know who is his client, and he hasn't even called as he claimed he was joking.
You know, Betty, right? Let me establish this right now. If I go in my special phone book, notebook, I will have contact of whether the people that work in the media area, lawmakers, ministers, people that I have come across and will exchange contact that I can reach them anytime. What I want to know here is that did you at any time before this story exchange contact with this counselor, and did you ever have his number stored in your phone or so?
So Max, for that, I will tell you that yes, I have his number, and we have never talked on the phone. So this counselor is a senior lawyer of the Supreme Court of Liberia, and just in case an opinion or a ruling is given by a lower court, we reference him, like you go to him to ask him on some legal issues, since we are not
Oh,
legal students, and
okay.
and he has stayed longer in this legal field, and we feel that he has some knowledge to share as per what is being said by the judge or justice.
So the time the call came, you have his number already in your store in your phone. When the call came, and you normally we look at the phone, the handset, and see where the call is coming from, and to identify before taking the call. Did you do something like that? Did you take immediate note to see his name appearing also and say, oh, this is the counselor calling?
There was no name appearing. There was absolutely no name appearing. So as I said, there were two calls that came in on a Lone Star and an Orange. One of the calls that were, the two numbers were traced by Front Page Africa, and we found out that one of the numbers were linked to him. One, and the other, no.
So even the number that was linked to him directly was not the number that you had stored in your phone for him. No.
No, no.
Okay. Now, we're really trying. I just trying to get the story quite clear, because I know there has been a talk on social media. Oh, why would you have somebody's number and the person call you and you see the person, this, that. But if that is the case, then where there should be some motive. But this is it. Let me go to some of the stories in terms of this threat here. What I saw, a couple of days ago, another headline on it says, lawyer issues death threat on journalist, but says it's a prank. You know what is pranking, those that are watching and listening as well. But do you think this is an extreme prank, especially so when your children are involved and say, I'm going to assassinate your children?
And Max, to be frank with you, I can frankly tell you that no lawyer who knows the effect of an assassination charge or a kidnapping. First, this lawyer, he's a senior lawyer, and he knows the impact of assassination. Meaning, he lived in Liberia, and he has followed our civil crisis. He knows the history of some of our senior journalists who were assassinated, and some of our officials who were assassinated. So absolutely, there is nothing about prank in that. Nobody can prank with somebody's family, and nobody should be pranking with anybody's families, because joke has limits. And that's
Betty, I don't know if in terms of all right, we're having some kind of a hiccup now. I don't know whether it's okay. Betty, what I want to find out here these days now, not to go into the legal aspect of it as well, because I know by now maybe the legal people are looking after it. But in terms of support, first of all, have you been getting enough support? What are you coming from the Writer Association, the Press Union of Liberia, and other media
Yes.
outlets?
So the union body, the press union, they did issue a statement. The and Reporters Association, my family did a statement, and so forth. For now, we are just watching the legal process because I was called to receive threats, and to appear. We are to appear at the court tomorrow. So what is the next step? I do not know. But I have been receiving support from my family, from Front Page Africa, and from other media bodies, CMS, West African Media, so forth, CPJ. Yes.
So in terms of your, maybe from the point the two calls were made, at that particular point, your state of being, I mean, I know it changed right there at that moment, whether you were on your own, in your own private home or whatever. But from that point to this point, does the coming of the people in, now all of these institutions that you're naming, by virtue of them coming in, does that perhaps give you some sort of security, or are you still bothered by the threat, especially given your country, given the fact of the matter in our country that things go, and things can happen, and people say things happen.
Max, we just had the issue of the late Taron Brown, whose body was found because someone saw him as an armed robber. There is nothing ever being secure in here. I feel that I'm not secure. My family is not secure, and I'm just watching our security agencies. So we don't have security. That's part of our request to the security agencies. There is no security yet provided.
You know, where I am, and let me be honest, before I ask the question, where I am in such a situation now, I mean, as far as your security and the security of your family is concerned, the 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 government or the authorities will actually play a pivotal role in terms of giving you security as well. If they have to, maybe have one or two officers around your premises, also they will be, especially overnight or so. What is the support like from our state security towards your family? Is everything okay?
Well, since our complaint was filed by Frontier Africa on Monday, and I was called for an investigation on Monday of this week, and I was called today that there's nothing. There is no offer from security agencies. Absolutely no offer. No offer on my family, on myself. The security agencies have not said anything apart from charging him and sending him to court tomorrow. At the same time, the Ministry of Information, who controls the media in the Republic of Liberia, they have not said a thing. They have not said anything. And worst of it all, the Ministry of Information is the head of all media related issues. So if a journalist is attacked, we expect them to say something because
Mm-hmm.
what they haven't said anything. up to now.
Is it bothering you, you and your family, especially what's the rest of your family are saying?
Well, my family issued a statement a few days after the incident occurred, and first of all, they are also concerned about our security, specifically our innocent kids who have nothing to do with our professional duties. They feel that our case shouldn't be affected by that. And seriously, they are bothered. They are still bothered now.
How much concern do you have right now? Because our schools are about to open. These are children, innocent children, and they have to go to school. They have to be picked up from school. Somebody will know them, but they will know the person as well. How much concern do you have right now, especially so, and also tying in with the Ministry of Gender and Children Protection? Are you also getting support from them in terms of perhaps? Because in this state, let me be very frank in this state. Let me end up with a question in this state that if it is here right now, you'll be receiving counseling as well as support, professional counseling, counselors counseling you. That will be from the state also. Are you getting any support from the Ministry of Gender? And how are you going to actually protect these children?
Apart from the Liberian National Police investigating and charging Councillor Chaps Atula, that's where the government starts. There's no support from the government, I mean the Ministry of Gender, and just that I'm still struggling to overcome what was said by the lawyers, specifically with the inclusion of my kids. I'm still struggling because this entire saga leads me to whether I should still investigate or whether I should still report.
That was coming to my next question. So, how far are you willing now to take this, to take your profession under this gloomy, very dark cloud that's hanging over you? It is a dark cloud.
So, Max, I'm only concerned about my kids. I'm only concerned about my kids. As long as my kids are secure, I have no issue. I have nothing. But my thing tomorrow to this lawyer is that there should be a commitment. There should be a commitment that my family and I, we will be secure. Because, yes, let's say that this lawyer is pranking, right? But why if someone who didn't say it leaves his back and do what they have planned to do in a long while? And which of course will still be directed to him, because the Bible says life and death lies on the tongue.
Yeah. All right, her name is Bettie J Mbayo. She is a female journalist, a renowned female journalist, also working for the Front Page Africa. Some people say, most of us is one of, let's say, Liberia's #1 online platform, giving us information on our country, Liberia, and of course the rest of Africa. She's our guest here today, and we're talking a whole lot, covering her profession and the recent threats on her life as well by a counselor in Liberia. So those are some of the points here. Betty, on that note, let me take you a little bit to some of the concern of our listening audience. Thomas RG actually is from the States of Washington asking the question. So, Betty, as an investigative journalist, how often do you follow up on your reporting? We often read important human issues stories, but then we don't hear any of this. Let me add up to that story. I'm sure you're the one that dug out. Uh, this is behind me. I'm sure you're the one that dug out this Regina girl story, and it came to our attention. I put this story behind me because I still pushing for it. I want to know. Uh, the story came out, it generated concern. We in the diaspora, we got behind it. I used my platform, as you see, and it just coming from behind me, behind there always. And I kept asking, I said, okay, is it the end of the story or so? So my question, I just trying to add on to what Thomas is asking. How do you do it?
So for that article that they just show up, the last time I did an article on that kid is that this suspect is, and he has been charged for a year now. And worst of it all, he hasn't been indicted. The state is not focusing on, on finding the victims. The victim. And I can tell you, this is all due. It's all due to the traditional practice and the who know you method in Liberia.
Mhm.
People feel that this suspect is a let's say he's not really a high profile, but then he's a former representative, so he should be protected. And from that region, people feel that that's a normal thing. So no one got the guts to report on it. So 1 year is gone. Yes, he's charged, his wife is charged, but they are passing around normally. And, like I'm asked, why do I always follow up? It's because every investigation leads you to a new hole. And that new hole can be dug and lead you to another area. So the reason I'm always on cases is because I want to establish why, when, and how,
Regina
and what
case,
can be done.
is it Regina case, is it over? Regina and her infant?
Well, no, it's not yet over. So, like
when are
the
we
last,
expecting to hear from your institution next?
so as I said, the last time I did an article was June of this year to show that 1 year is gone, and the Ministry of Justice, the authorities who are to be involved at the Ministry of Gender. She's from this town, and she's related to the ex-official, which is the suspect. And as I said, they still feel that this shouldn't be reported because that's their tradition. That's their tradition. So Little Reg and her kid, up to now, I don't even know whether that kid is alive or the kid passed. I got no idea. Because Max, that child was taken to a 52-hour background. I left Monrovia. I went Grand Jide, I rode back 9 hours to go and 9 hours to come. I mean, just back. The place she was taken, no car. There is no pathway for a vehicle to pass. Only backs or feet. Footpath, that's all. But there is absolutely nothing the car road there. So whether her case has ended, no. We still have to rally to make sure that this government focus on finding her and her baby and make sure that this suspect is prosecuted along with his wife who is aiding him because everything he says that's a fan up to her.
One story I read on the eve of that was earlier this year was a 9-year-old girl raped by a 59-year-old man, and they say elders negotiate compromise. When I came across that story, when I came across that story, I was baffled. And 9 years old, 59-year-old.
But yes, that story was
you as a mother, a professional, a professional journalist, also as a mother, when you come across such a story,
and as a wife too, Max.
How do you deal with it?
Max, so I'm a mother of 3 girls, and I find it unpleasant when grandfathers rape their grandchildren. And for that story you are talking about, the day the negotiation was ongoing, it was the day I busted, and this man is currently at the Moravia Central Prison. Yes, he's not yet indicted, but that suspect is behind bars. So I feel very terrible when a grandfather, a father, an uncle will rape his nieces, his daughters, or his granddaughters. That in no way makes sense.
Just before we wrap up, I mean, when I normally get people from a specific professional background and they provide information, I just want to go on. And I know my listeners, my followers as well, they just want to be hearing from the person, not for them to stop. Time is of the essence as well. But let's deal with the human nature aspect of stories. Do you personally think that rape issue in Liberia is a problem?
Not just rape. We have women who are being abused by their spouses. We have fathers who are abusing their children, whether sexually or violently, maybe through acid. We have issues that is even far from just rape. Over and over, we mostly focus on rape, but we also have domestic violence. Like a few days ago, I was called for a 9-year-old boy who was sodomized by a 52-year-old man.
Wow.
Who is currently on a run. and that's an issue too. But we are not focusing on it because that's rare. But it's happening, Max. It is happening. Rape is an issue that we all have to work together and make sure that it shouldn't be compromised. One reason I would say that rape will be a bit hard to tackle is the issue of traditional beliefs, which of course is affecting us. Because someone feel that because this man is from this tribe, or he feels that they all work together. But what is the stigmatized for years? Last week, I felt so terrible that a 12-year-old girl womb was removed only because she was raped by her stepfather. And where is that suspect now? He's currently on the run. We have this girl that was gang raped as far as Maryland by 5 men who she considered as her uncles. But then they raped her. She reached to her father, she explained, and at the end, she didn't make it. She passed. And now she's dead. Of the 5, they only found 2. And the rest is currently on the run. Do we have security features to find them? No. No.
What do
So
you think is a what you think is what you think is the
not just
problem?
about rape.
Where does the problem lies? It say maybe
Every sector do have a problem. The justice, the health, every area got a problem. The Ministry of Gender, they also help to compromise. The police, that's the West area. They compromise it. Every sector needs prayer. So we all just gotta pray for our sectors. That's all.
now finally before I go to my Facebook page, you've been
It's
reporting on this.
terrible. It's
Before
very
I go to
terrible.
before I go to the Facebook page, you've been reporting on these stories. Normally here it does happen here at times as well, but the support for the victims will be huge because the ministry coming in, counselors coming in, and the special care and everything. In terms of the support for victims while the case is being pursued, how do you see it? Is it okay? The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the Ministry of Gender, are there any provisions in place that victims can get the kind of good support while the case is being followed by the state? Maybe providing counseling, providing maybe try to take them off from their home and carry them elsewhere so they can be trying to recover and whatever. Is that have you been seeing support like that of that nature, or it happens and it happens? That's it. All right, I think we are losing Betty because I'm seeing her, but it looks like she's frozen. Her phone must be frozen. Yeah, so she's not hearing me at all. Well, thank you so much, all of you. That let me see. Adam. Okay, Betty. For those watching live, okay. Okay, okay. That means she's coming back soon because we just lost her just before we close it. Uh, All right, we're just coming to take some of your comments, Thomas Awaji. But let's see whether we can get Betty back so we can just wrap on this segment here. And hopefully, by the grace of God, we're trying to get somebody within either the Lone Star or Circum. We're trying to get them first. The press, those are responsible to talk to the press. We want to bring them on the show here so we can talk about some of the changes they have instituted that's actually affecting our people right now, that they find it difficult to make international calls. So we want to know what is going on. Betty, if Betty, we can see you watching as well. If you can just call back, let's see if we can wrap up. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have somebody from either Orange or Lone Star to come here and talk to us, especially those of us in the diaspora. Some of you have noticed now over the past weeks that, if not months now, that calls coming in now from Liberia are slowing down. Some people might be happy, but some of us will not be happy. It's because most of the benefits that these phone companies were given, they are taking it off from our people. But despite they taking it off, the services they're providing is not even adequate enough. So even if you put your money in, sometimes they end up stealing your money as well. Those are issues that can really get on my nerve. All right, I'm not quite sure whether we'll have Betty back. Let's try again. We're just trying now to wrap up. We want to say thanks so much to Betty J Mbayo for taking her time and coming to share with us her story, or stories for that matter. Huge, brave woman. I agree with most of you guys. Strong, courageous as well, and I think she deserves some flowers actually. And okay, let's see whether we can communicate with her. Let's play you this song. All right, let's see whether we can wrap up now. Let me go to your comments. Those of you that contributed to this story. Unfortunately, our guest, we hope to invite her back here later on another time. Let's see how far the case will go from tomorrow. But quickly, let's see. Let me just grab a few of your comments and then we'll be ending this segment here. I think where did we stop? Okay, Thomas Awaji. In the meantime, she's if she's still listening. In the meantime, surround yourself with close friends and family to help protect yourself. That's true. I agree with that, because this is the country now. there's no security in this kind of with this kind of a case. Don't overlook it. We heard a whole lot. There are a whole lot of people that I mean, I don't know, their lives were taken away. We thought their parents could get justice, but nowhere. So you hear something like this, you only have to protect yourself. You're right, Thomas. Okay, this one say Anthony Jala, good work, brother. Thank you so much. Watching from Carwell. Thomas is back. He said, whoa, the gender ministry is related to the Regina accused. God, pray for our country. Right, let's go. Let's see. May Azongo says here, very well, Betty. Keep it up, my dear. A word of encouragement there to our journalist. Margaret Johnson, Jesus, where is the government stands on these issues? Good question, but I think we got we heard from Betty already. And Thomas Awaji said, Margaret, the officials do not speak on these issues. Igwe Supuwoti. I listened to her yesterday, and she's one of those strong and brave female journalists to come out and break out her silence. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yesterday we started the show, but we couldn't continue due to the internet. Okay, Margaret is back. She says, yeah, Thomas, it is obvious. Are you telling me that no one in this government can speak against these things? Not only this government, even in the past, sometimes we talk before. I can remember one or twice the president went to visit. I think I even showed that documentary yesterday, a news story yesterday. I think at 12 years old was raped and she died. The president met Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at the time. She took her time and went to visit the family, wanted to hear the mother's story, and the mother narrated everything. And I saw the lapses of the security apparatus. Lapses. Many people, I don't know what happened with that. We don't have ambulance system in Liberia. There's nothing like ambulance system that you can call an ambulance for such an emergency. They raped the girl. According to the mother, the blood was just... They managed to put this girl in a car. And not knowing the night they have checkpoints all over. Well, not known because I normally drive in the night as well. Checkpoints, once it's after 8 o'clock or so, 9 o'clock, they put checkpoints all over. Imagine from Browville and telling you, go to this hospital, go to the hospital, go to this hospital. From one to another, the people keep refusing. Oh, we're not able to their case beyond. By the time the doctor come and they check Redemption Hospital, they say by the time the doctor point the lights on the girl and he saw that the girl private part is damaged, they say no, we can't able this case. Took it to another hospital. They say no, we can't able. Going passing checkpoints. When they reach to the other checkpoint, the people checking. Oh, we get emergency, our daughter dying. You get paper? There you go. Before now they could reach the JFK, the girl was dead. I couldn't believe that story when the woman was narrating the story to the president. All right, let me just end up with your comments here. May Azongo, nothing the government is doing, my dear Margaret, but they are just traveling. May say, she's back. They do more traveling more than addressing the issues faced by women in Liberia. And finally, Margaret Johnson says, yes, May, they are all over the place doing nothing. If I was the mother of any of those, those kids, I will cut that man. He will not have it to hurt any child anymore. I want to say thank you. Thanks to all of you for your contribution. I appreciate you. I love you all. And thanks to our brave journalist, Betty. I think so far she's been the only female journalist that won 3 awards in one go for her dedicated work. And please remember her in prayers, her family. The threat of this nature in Liberia, especially in my country, Liberia, in our country, is not a threat that you should joke with. People do things and they go with impunity. This is why we are calling for the establishment of war and economic crimes code for Liberia. If we set example, we see people behind bars for 40 years, for 50 years, for life sentence. When others are saying it and it's being broadcast, I mean, I'm talking about big people. The crime rate will drop. That's a small country. In terms of population, it will drop. But at the same time, I agree with some of you. The state needs to step in. We created these ministries and gave people responsibilities. Taxpayers are paying these people. The very taxpayers in Liberia sleeping in dark. These people don't sleep in dark. Even some of those ministers, those ones that just graduated from college and they got ministerial position, that they were still sharing, home with their parents. Right now they move and renting or in the process of buying a property which they are living in. You go there now, the 24/7 electricity is there. The people they're supposed to be working for are sleeping in the dark. Yesterday they were struggling to have 1-course meal a day. Today they go to a restaurant that at least a bowl will cost them $200. Soft drink bottle that is sold outside maybe for less than 150 Liberian dollars is sold there for $5 Liberian dollars. Today they can afford it. But these people, they are not working for the very people that send them, that gave them, that has given them these benefits. And so, yes, you're right. All of you right. We're right to get angry and to ask these questions. Well, some of us, when we're advocating and saying the fact, others are saying that we hate this person, we hate that person. We just want things to be put in the right perspective. Thank you so much for watching. God's willing, we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be looking at the phone companies in Liberia. Bye bye. Love you all.